Ryan Clark didn't hold back when calling out Kevin Stefanski, and his critique has become a lightning rod for a larger conversation about how the Browns are handling Shedeur Sanders. According to Clark, the organization isn't just mismanaging a player, it's actively resisting everything Sanders represents. Charisma, leadership, and the kind of bold confidence modern quarterbacks need to thrive. Stefanski's cautious approach may seem like strategy on the surface, but Clark sees it for what it is.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Fear masquerading as control. And that fear is costing Cleveland more than snaps. It's costing them trust. This situation has now moved beyond a simple debate about readiness. It's about a franchise unwilling to evolve in a league that already has. The Browns have a chance to be part of the future, to build around a quarterback who energizes both the locker room and the fan base. But by continuing to marginalize Sanders, they're risking something far greater than a few early season wins. The long-term belief in their ability to recognize and cultivate elite talent. Ryan Clark didn't hesitate. He didn't couch his words in polite analysis or sugarcoat the situation in Cleveland. He called it exactly what it is. A mess. A blatant failure in leadership. And a textbook case of an NFL team sabotaging its own future out of fear, ego, and control. His target? Kevin Stefanski. His message? You are wasting Shedeur Sanders, and the league sees it. This wasn't just an analyst venting on a panel. It was a pointed, public indictment of a coaching staff that continues to make decisions that defy logic, insult fans, and undermine the credibility of the entire franchise. Let's be clear. Shedeur Sanders has done everything right. He's shown poise, confidence, and the raw talent that front offices spend years praying for. He's delivered in the preseason. He's displayed natural leadership. He's drawn fans in, energized media, and earned the respect of his teammates. And yet, the Browns keep him off the field. That decision, Clark argues, has nothing to do with development. It has nothing to do with preparing Sanders. It's about control, about keeping him quiet, about protecting a system that values obedience over initiative. And that is killing this team. Let's not pretend the Browns are some dominant powerhouse who can afford to ease in a star quarterback. They're not. They're in the thick of yet another identity crisis, where they're asking fans to trust a process that has delivered nothing but disappointment. And now, they've been handed a rare opportunity. A young, charismatic quarterback who brings both skills and leadership. A player who checks every box and still isn't being given a real shot. That's what Clark took issue with. That disconnect. That refusal to embrace what's clearly in front of them. And it goes deeper than just one player. What he's pointing out is cultural, systemic, an organization so consumed with maintaining order that it actively resists the very thing that could change its trajectory. Talent. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a backup waiting for his moment. He is the moment. He's everything the modern NFL demands. He's marketable. He's confident. He's got the kind of presence that makes players rally and fans believe. And what's the response from the coaching staff? Silence. Excuses. Benchings. It's the same tired routine. A veteran quarterback is named a starter. The coaching staff praises experience. The rookie is told to wait his turn. The team struggles. The media asks questions. The coach deflects. And all the while, the best talent sits unused, deliberately, strategically ignored. Clark isn't having it. Because this isn't just Cleveland being cautious. It's Cleveland being scared. Scared of losing control over the narrative. Scared of having to admit that a 21-year-old with 0 NFL starts might already be better than the guys they've banked on. Scared of confidence that doesn't ask for permission. That's not leadership. That's fear. And it's not just wasting time. It's eroding trust. The locker room sees this. Players know who's delivering in practice. They know who's ready and who isn't. And when a guy like Sanders gets pushed aside for reasons that clearly aren't football-related, it sends a message to the entire team. Do not stand out. Do not lead unless you're told to. Do not be bigger than the system. That message kills morale. It kills belief. It kills locker room culture. And outside the building, it's even worse. Fans are tired. They've been sold on promises of change for years. New GMs, new head coaches, new draft picks, same results. And now, when there's finally a spark of something different, something electric, something real, they're being told to wait. Again, it's insulting. The Browns have been desperate for a quarterback with upside for years. And now that they have won, they're terrified of what he represents. A shift. A player who could actually lead them into a new era. A player who doesn't fit the mold. Who doesn't stay quiet. Who brings with him attention, swagger, and expectation. And instead of rising to meet that moment, they're retreating. Clark isn't warning them about losing games. He's warning them about losing relevance. About becoming the kind of team no one trusts, no one respects, and no one wants to play for. Because when you sideline greatness in the name of control, you don't just lose talent. You lose credibility. And make no mistake, the rest of the league is watching. Other front offices see what's happening. Other coaches are shaking their heads. Other quarterbacks are taking notes. And if this continues, Sanders is going to leave. He's going to go to a team that actually knows how to develop quarterbacks in the 21st century. One that sees his confidence as an asset, not a threat. And then it'll be too late. Because once Sanders starts winning games somewhere else, there's no walking it back. There's no saving face. The narrative will be set. The Browns had a franchise quarterback and chose not to use him. They didn't trade him. They didn't lose him to injury. They just didn't play him. And that will follow Kevin Stefanski and this regime for the rest of their careers. This isn't about flipping a switch overnight. No one's demanding perfection. But at some point, there has to be intent. A decision to stop delaying. Stop protecting systems that aren't working. And start building around the player who can actually take you somewhere. And that player is Shedeur Sanders. The longer they wait, the worse it gets. The more toxic it becomes. The more fractured the locker room becomes. The more the fans turn. The more the media digs in. And the more the league distances itself from yet another example of Cleveland not being able to get out of its own way. This moment could have been a turning point. Sanders gave them that shot. But the Browns, so far, are choosing to play scared. And in the NFL, scared teams lose. Every time. If the Browns want to salvage this, they need to stop hiding behind narratives about rookie development and veteran presence and start asking themselves one simple question. Who gives us the best chance to win? And if the answer isn't Shedeur Sanders, they're lying to themselves. The tape doesn't lie. The players know it. The fans know it. Ryan Clark knows it. The only ones pretending otherwise are the ones too afraid to admit the truth. You've got a player who is confident, smart, talented, and ready. You've got a fan base desperate for something to believe in. And you've got a system designed to keep both in check. That's the problem. And it's one Cleveland can't afford to ignore much longer. Let us know where you stand. Should Stefanski start Sanders now? Is Ryan Clark just saying what everyone else is afraid to say? Or has Cleveland already done too much damage? Hit that like if you've had enough of the excuses. Drop a comment if you're ready to see Shedeur lead. Share this if you know someone who's been calling this mess since preseason. And subscribe for more coverage of the biggest NFL controversies. Because the way this is going, the Browns are going to be trending for all the wrong reasons. The Cleveland Browns had a chance to flip the script. They had a moment, rare, golden, and undeniable. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a rookie with promise. He was the player who could have changed everything. And right now, the organization looks like it would rather let that opportunity rot than risk giving up an ounce of control. Ryan Clark's takedown wasn't just about Shedeur not starting. It wasn't even just about Kevin Stefanski. It was about a culture problem, a mindset, an organization more afraid of personality than of losing, a team that would rather silence a star than build around him. And that's what makes this so much worse. Because you can fix bad coaching. You can correct a bad scheme. You can even recover from a losing season. But when your organization is built on fear of letting players lead, when your entire identity is built on playing it safe, that's when you lose your future. The Browns aren't ignoring Shedeur Sanders because he's not talented. They're ignoring him because he doesn't fit into their comfort zone. He's not quiet. He's not passive. He's not going to nod along and learn from the sidelines while guys like Joe Flacco eat up game time and deliver nothing. And here's the truth. Players like Sanders don't wait forever. They shouldn't, because waiting behind someone who hasn't earned it doesn't build humility. It builds resentment. It breaks trust. And it sends the absolute worst message to your locker room. We don't reward talent. We reward submission. The NFL isn't built for that anymore. The most successful teams in the league are the ones that know how to hand the keys over to young talent and trust them. Look at the teams that are thriving right now. They didn't wait for their quarterbacks to become palatable. They built around their confidence. They leaned into it. Meanwhile, the Browns are treating Shedeur's charisma like a liability, like his confidence is some sort of defect they need to manage, like his swagger is a threat to their fragile hierarchy. It's not. It's exactly what they've been missing. And this isn't just a minor personnel issue. This isn't about playing it safe for a few weeks. This is a franchise-altering mistake in the making. Because once a player like Sanders feels boxed in, disrespected, and ignored, once he realizes a team he's on isn't interested in letting him lead, he will leave. And when he does, the Browns won't be able to spin it. They won't be able to PR their way out of it, because the evidence will already be on record. Preseason tape showing he was ready. Interviews where he said all the right things. Reports confirming his leadership and professionalism. Fans rallying behind him, begging for a change. Ryan Clark and others pointing directly at the issue. And Cleveland? They'll have nothing. No wins. No answers. Just regret. This whole situation is a case study in what happens when old-school thinking collides with modern talent. Sanders isn't just a good player. He represents a new kind of quarterback. The kind who doesn't just throw passes. He commands attention. He builds a following. He shapes culture. And if you're a smart organization, you build with that, not against it. But the Browns aren't smart right now. They're scared. And scared teams don't just lose, they implode. Ryan Clark's comments are echoing, because they're not just a critique. They're a mirror. A clear look at everything Cleveland has refused to confront for years. The lack of adaptability. The obsession with keeping order. The fear of letting players have too much influence. And now that approach is backfiring. Publicly. Because it's not just fans calling it out. It's respected analysts. Former players. Current players. It's obvious what's happening. And the more the Browns try to pretend otherwise, the more ridiculous they look. This could have been a moment to usher in a new era. Sanders gave them that shot. All the traits of a franchise quarterback. On display, early, visible, real. All they had to do was trust what was right in front of them. But they didn't. And the clock is running out. The team is not winning. The offense isn't thriving. The fan base is restless. The pressure is mounting. And the decision-makers are still frozen, terrified of what it might mean to hand the reins over someone they can't fully control. At some point, it stops being about bad judgment and starts being about negligence. And we're already past that point. This situation isn't unique to Cleveland. It's happened before. We've seen coaches and front offices try to force players into outdated molds. And almost every time, it ends the same way. With that player thriving somewhere else while the original team gets left behind, clinging to philosophy that no longer works. That's the path the Browns are on right now. Sanders doesn't need permission to become great. He's already on that trajectory. The only question is whether Cleveland is going to be the team he builds with or the team he leaves. And at this rate, it looks like the decision is already being made for him. What makes this sting even more is that the fans know. They've seen what happens when the Browns mishandle quarterbacks. They've lived through it. Over and over again. They've seen top picks crumble. They've watched potential flame out. And now, they finally got a guy who doesn't look scared, who doesn't need to be coddled, who's actually ready. And once again, the front office is choosing control over creation. There's a reason Ryan Clark's words landed like they did. Because they weren't just commentary. They were truth. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and necessary. He said what fans have been screaming all season. What players have been too cautious to admit publicly. What the league has been whispering behind the scenes. That Cleveland isn't protecting Shedeur Sanders. They're suppressing him. And that decision is going to cost them. Not just games. Not just this season. But everything. The future of the franchise. The trust of the locker room. The respect of the league. And most critically, the kind of quarterback they've needed for years but never had the courage to actually support. The Browns still have a window. A slim one. But it's there. They can still pivot. They can still own this. They can still say, we got it wrong, and finally let Shedeur be the quarterback he already is. Not the version they think he should be, but the one he is, confident, bold, prepared, talented, and built for this moment. But that window is closing. Every week he doesn't start, every game they lose with him on the sideline, that trust fractures just a little more, and eventually it won't be reparable. You don't get to treat your most valuable player like a problem and then expect him to be loyal. That's not how it works anymore. Cleveland has a decision to make. Not in the offseason. Not next year. Now, let Shedeur Sanders lead, or watch someone else let him. This has stopped being a quarterback debate. It's not even about football strategy anymore. This is about pride. This is about power. And this is about a franchise that's been stuck in its own shadow for years, finally handed a chance to change its future, only to slam the door shut out of fear of what it means to actually evolve. Shedeur Sanders isn't just waiting in the wings. He's being kept there, and not because he isn't ready. He's proven over and over again that he is. No, the Browns are holding him back for one reason. They're more afraid of what happens if he succeeds than what happens if they keep losing. And that's the part that should make every Browns fan furious. This team, this franchise that has cycled through quarterbacks like disposable razors, is now staring at a quarterback with real poise, real talent, and real leadership and won't play him. Why? Because he's confident? Because he doesn't stay quiet? Because he has a following? That's the new standard for benching someone? Ryan Clark wasn't exaggerating. He wasn't being dramatic. He was stating the obvious. The Browns aren't coaching. They're gatekeeping. They've mistaken control for development and fear for discipline, and it's costing them everything. The fans feel it. The locker room feels it. The media is circling it. And now, with every week that passes and every game that ends in another underwhelming stat line from a veteran quarterback, the tension becomes harder and harder to ignore. This isn't sustainable. Not when the guy you're trying to keep quiet is the one everyone's talking about. The energy shift when Shedeur is in the game, or even when he's just visible, is undeniable. The way the players light up, the way the fans respond, the way the media leans in. That's not hype. That's impact. That's presence. And presence is what you build dynasties around. But presence doesn't fit into Cleveland's formula right now, because presence challenges a narrative. It forces accountability. It says, this is no longer about your plan. This is about results. And Kevin Stefanski, he seems more committed to protecting his plan than doing what's best for the team. Sticking with guys like Joe Flacco, that's not loyalty. That's stubbornness. That's fear of change disguised as veteran preference. You think Flacco is the future of the Browns? You think riding out a slow, conservative offense is going to save jobs? You think continuing to bench Shedeur won't eventually blow up in the Browns' faces? Because it will. Everyone sees it coming. And Cleveland is walking toward it like it's not on fire. It's infuriating to watch. You want to develop a quarterback? You play him. You don't learn the speed of the league from the sideline. You don't learn how to lead from a clipboard. You learn by leading. You learn by playing through mistakes. You learn by being trusted. That's the part that stings the most. Sanders hasn't even been given the chance to make mistakes. He's being punished for the idea of them. Meanwhile, the guys getting the starts, they've already made their mistakes. Over and over. And somehow, they keep getting more chances. That's what Clark was talking about. That disconnect between who's being protected and who's being suppressed. That double standard. That unwritten rule in certain NFL buildings that says, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt unless you're too bold. And Shedeur? He's bold. Not because he's reckless. Not because he's arrogant. Because he knows who he is. And that should be celebrated. That's what successful teams do now. They lean into star power. They nurture confidence. They build around guys who bring energy, swagger, and leadership. They don't hide them. They don't sit them until they've been sufficiently humbled. They trust them. But Cleveland has made it abundantly clear. They don't trust Shedeur Sanders. And at this point, why should he trust them? What exactly has the organization done to earn that loyalty? What has this leadership group proven besides the fact that they'll protect the status quo until it kills the season? The Browns don't have the luxury of slow-playing this. They don't have the credibility. They don't have the wins. And they don't have another Shedeur Sanders waiting in the wings. This is it. And the fact that they're so willing to waste it, to actively suppress it, shows just how deep the dysfunction runs. Because this is bigger than just starting the right quarterback. This is about whether or not Cleveland is finally ready to step into the modern NFL, to stop being a cautionary tale, to stop treating personality like a problem and confidence like a crime. Ryan Clark's words landed because they came from someone who knows the culture, who knows the cost of letting ego drive decisions. Who knows what it means to waste a locker room's belief in a young player because the coaching staff can't get over themselves. And that's what's happening here. This isn't about patience. This is about pride. And pride in the NFL gets you beat over and over. There's still time to fix it. But that window is closing fast. Because you can't keep telling players to give everything they've got when they see the guy giving the most being given the least. That doesn't motivate anyone. That doesn't build culture. That builds fractures. And fractures turn into exits. If the Browns don't shift, if they don't put Sanders on the field and mean it, not for a series, not in garbage time, but as a guy, they're going to lose more than just games. They're going to lose him. And once he's gone, there's no coming back. They'll have to watch him become a star somewhere else. Watch the highlights. Watch the headlines. Watch another team do what they wouldn't. Trust him. And every fan, every player, every analyst will remember that Cleveland had the answer and walked away. So now it's up to them. Stop hiding. Stop gatekeeping. Stop pretending like you can wait this out and everything will just fall into place. Play him. Trust him. Or prepare to watch this entire era slip away. For good. If you're done watching the situation spiral, drop your thoughts below. Should Sanders already be starting? Has Stefanski lost the locker room? And how much longer can Cleveland keep this up before it all collapses? Like this if you've had enough. Share it with someone who's been shouting about this all season. And subscribe. Because as long as the Browns keep Shedeur on the bench, this story isn't going anywhere.